to the Whip Appeal Show hosted by Mistress Candy 69 from the BDSM Alive Radio Network.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Mistress is back to doing her live show on Friday nights, which is June 10th, 2022, at, I have like brain dysfunction tonight already. This is terrible. So back to Friday nights doing her show at the time that I said I was going to do it, and it's live tonight. Tonight is not a recorded show. Last week was a live show also, but I had a little bit of problem with my cell phone casting Netflix to the television, and it kind of screwed up my show. So little technical difficulties last week as well, but today is a little bit better. Some of my family members actually helped me. My son, actually, I've talked about him on prior shows, is letting me use his computer, which is pretty cool. And so I'm in a different part of Long Island for my show tonight. I'm not in Suffolk County. I'm actually in Nassau County. So it's kind of interesting. But no, you will not see Mistress parading around the streets tonight because I'm home doing my faithful, kinky radio show for all you dirty, twisted perverts and closet cases who are sitting home listening to me talk every Friday night. Oh, I don't know. I'm feeling a bit rambunctious tonight, I must say. So I think for tonight's show, I was going to talk about different types of fetishes. Because actually on social media as of lately, my Instagram has been going crazy with submissives asking Mistress if they've heard of different types of the 26 kink and fetishes terms that you should absolutely know about. Okay, so if you're in the lifestyle and you're a vanilla type person that explores kink for the first time, right? So you're going to go and think of kink as getting blindfolded and handcuffed or restrained to like a bed pose, which, could be, but there's different types of play that involve different types of terminology, and before you go out trying to explore some of these things, it would be a good idea for Mistress to kind of give you a little refresher or a newbie beginner course about the different terminology that's used for different types of play. Now, for instance, and I'll give you kind of a funny story real quick. When I was first into BDSM, I was housed with some other young girls that were learning to be mistresses as well, and there was also slaves and submissives there and dungeons. And one of the dominants there learning to be had said she had wanted to do a bukkake fetish for someone. And I had said to her, I said, wow, you want to be like a submissive and have like a bunch of guys jerking off and coming all over your face and stuff like that? And she's like, really? That's what bukkake is? And I said, yes. So she says, oh, I thought it was like some sort of kinky, like bondage stuff. And I'm like, no, you're talking about shibari. So shibari and bukkake kind of sound, I guess maybe kind of the same, but they're really in two different, ends of the spectrum, so to speak. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, I guess, thought, I needed a sip of coffee for a minute. Mistress has like severe cotton mouth, if you must know. That's why I had earlier. When I initially did the show, I had started it, but for some reason I thought I put it on the BDSM Alive Radio Network page, which I do post some of them on there anyway, but I try to keep it separate because I'm trying to expand the network. So I figured I would do my own solo show called The Whip Appeal, which you all have been listening to. I'm sure people on Twitter and Instagram have been emailing me and messaging me, telling me how much they have learned from listening to my shows and, prior shows and things in the past. So it's kind of interesting. I'm, I guess, grateful for you people who message me that tell me those things. So thank you very much. So here is the 26 kinks and fetishes and terms you should absolutely know. We're going to go back to that. But for one quick last thing, of course, Mistress is now cutting herself off rather than cutting someone else off and talking. I have decided that fuck, I just lost my train of thought again. I don't know. I guess it's safe to say that I had a pretty good day with my family, so I'm a pretty bit giddy this evening. Plus, I kind of am in a serious relax mode, which is kind of good. I've been a little stressed out lately. But anyway, I had a great day with my family, so I'm a little chillaxed. So anyway, kinks and fetishes play a pretty big role in the mainstream sexuality, right? So, now, this is kind of retarded, but I'm going to go back to 50 Shades of Grey here, because before 50 Shades of Grey, most BDSM and kinky fetishy type behavior and activity was usually done in underground, scenes and levels of different areas, like in this, wherever city you were in, there was always an underground kink scene, because back then people thought it was pretty, heinous. They think it was a lot of sex with a lot of violence, but it really wasn't like that. Of course, it had a bad name. People would say, or people didn't even know it existed. It was kind of like the Matrix type stuff, right? So, and, Sir Lorenzo, if you're listening to the show tonight, this I'm going to refer to you, because Sir Lorenzo and I are from, which is called Old School BDSM, which is old leather or what's the other one? Fuck, I'm like brain dysfunction, Lorenzo, so please don't crucify me. Old school BDSM, like, old leather, old guard, protocols, high protocols. There's certain rules of things that you do and do not do with your slave or submissive, and the rules that you have with them are very strict. Like they're not allowed to, in mine in particular, I would have them walk behind me, but, they were not allowed to look at me. They had to look down at my feet while they walked behind me. So, because to me, those owned and collared slaves and submissives were, what's the word? I hate when I fucking get like this. They are, I guess under my tutelage is one, like under my reign, so they are not allowed to do specific things. And when they address other dominants, they're not to make eye contact with them. They look down at their feet because, again, they are the subservient to the superior, right? So, kind of an interesting concept, and that takes place for, I guess, maybe another show. I can get into, like, inferior, superior, alpha, beta, that sort of stuff, okay? So, for right now, we're chopping that off. Cutting it off at the seams. So, it's kind of interesting. Back to 50 Shades of Grey. Up until, I don't know when that movie came out, I'm trying to remember. I think it was like 2000 and... Don't quote me, but you all people should know when it came out, because I'm not really into 50. I mean, I am, but I'm not. It kind of gives BDSM like a mushy, sour twist, and that's not what it does, So, but granted, it did explode main sexuality and BDSM and kink and fetish into mainstream sexuality, right? Because most women back in the day would never think of taking a fly swatter or a spatula or some clothespins or some early forms of cock and ball torture like, Q-tips in the pee hole with Bengay on them, that sort of stuff, like 50s retro style, like BDSM cock and ball torture type techniques, right? Or sadistic, depending on the type of mood you're in. So, 50 Shades of Grey BDSM made vanilla housewives think that they can have hot, kinky sex with their husbands or boyfriends or vice versa. It could be two guys, you never know, right? So, could be any which way you see it. 50 Shades of Grey had maybe turned on some sort of deep, kinky fantasy of yours that you never really had a chance to play out and with another person. And it kind of exploded BDSM into the mainstream sexuality and as well as vanilla life, because then other people were like, oh, I heard about that, and they would, read about it and think about it, and it was everywhere. Like, I guess a lot of my listeners would say, yes, so shut up, move on already. I had to take a drink of coffee. So, then they also have, Rihanna had that song S&M, right? That came out, and that brought a lot of kink back into mainstream music, right? it introduced BDSM into that sort of genre of music. And then at that time period, there was other artists wearing like corsets and tight little shorts, almost looking like dominatrixes. So it was kind of interesting, right? To some degree, that's how they would dress. I used to wear corsets with little short, like satiny boy shorts with thigh highs and boots. And, I used to dress like that on occasion. Then I used to just wear corsets with like tight pants, but that's not the look they're going for. So it's kind of makes you like wonder like who came up with that first. If you think about it, old school BDSM I think even existed with Betty Page, the famous supermodel, if you all remember her from back in the day. And she actually did some dominatrix style type photographs with crop whips and things. So think about it. BDSM has been around an extremely long time, if you think about it, right? Extremely long time. So kind of interesting, that that had happened, because think about it. Maybe cavemen back in the day, you would have depictions of males dragging women by the hair, right? So how many, you've never depicted, well, there's maybe some females dragging males by hair too. I guess that's how they claim their loved one or whatever. They collar their submissive that way by dragging them by their hair. I don't know, think about it. A lot of these things back in the day, like in medieval times too, they'd have chastity devices for males and females. Now chastity devices are mostly used in males, but they make a lot of female chastity devices now. So are we going back to medieval times using chastity devices for males and females? Or is it part of a kinky fetish to control one so they can't mate with another? Think about that, right? Pretty interesting psychological kind of aspect behind different aspects of kink and fetish from times back then and beyond, right? Medieval is metal chastity devices for women that are like locked on with these big fucking wrought iron locks. It's amazing, and they're made out of steel. And the male chastity device is very similar. But of course now they have so many different varieties that you can pretty much get, I guess, any type of device you want. They make them in silicone, plastic, metal, carbon, like they even make like 3D. You can send into a 3D place and have a chastity device made out of a 3D printer, which is kind of interesting. Pretty bizarre, the technology that we have around today, right? Oh my god. So, but anyway, so but I'm not going to talk about the specifics of different types of fetishes, right? So we'll start what it means to have a kink or a fetish, right? Basically, a kink is an unconventional sexual taste or behavior, okay? Now, one may say somebody could be a sex addict, or if you remember on Sons of Anarchy or The Sopranos, they had that guy that used to jerk off all the time. That guy had a fetish, I guess, to be voyeuristic. He got off on people watching him masturbate, right? So think about that.